What if every heartbreak, every delay, every failure was never a punishment, but a preparation? What if the worst thing that ever happened to you wasn't breaking you, but building you? Stay till the end, and you'll never see struggle the same way again. There was a time when I thought strength meant control, when I believed that if I planned perfectly, worked endlessly, and anticipated every possible outcome, life would finally obey me. But one morning, I watched everything I'd built fall apart. The plan failed. The people I trusted vanished. The future I'd rehearsed dissolved overnight. I remember sitting in the quiet wreckage, asking the same question we all ask when things crumble. Why me? But somewhere inside that silence, another voice whispered back, why not you? That question changed everything. See, I used to think life was supposed to make sense before I could trust it. Now I know it's the other way around. You trust it first, and then it starts to make sense. The Stoics called this the great paradox of peace. It doesn't come from control, but from clarity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." At first, I thought he meant to endure hardship, but he meant something deeper, to cooperate with it. To see life not as a series of interruptions, but as an intricate design that's always guiding you toward growth, even when it looks like destruction. The moment I stopped resisting, I started seeing. Every loss revealed something I'd been too distracted to notice. Every delay protected me from something I wasn't ready for. Every ending was really a beginning with different packaging. And slowly, I learned what the Stoics had always known, that the tides aren't the enemy. They're the rhythm of existence itself. We can't command them, but we can learn to move with them. I began to test this belief in small ways. When plans collapsed, I asked myself, what if this isn't happening to me, but for me? When people disappointed me, I wondered, what if they were never meant to stay, but to shape me? And when fear whispered, what if it all goes wrong? I learned to answer, what if it's all going right, just not in the way I expected? It wasn't easy, but it was freeing. Because when you stop demanding certainty from life, you start experiencing the wonder of it. That's what this journey is about, not blind optimism, but radical trust. The kind that says, even this, especially this, is working for me. And once you start living like that, something shifts. The anxiety begins to fade. The panic quiets. You stop gripping life like a weapon and start holding it like a gift. Because maybe the goal was never to control the waves, but to learn how to build again, even after they crash. If this message speaks to something deep inside you, if you've felt the exhaustion of trying to control what can't be controlled, I invite you to stay until the end. Subscribe to this channel and help us continue sharing the kind of wisdom that can change the way you see everything. When I first began studying the Stoics, I didn't understand how they could speak of calm in a world like ours. Deadlines, expectations, endless noise. It felt impossible to stay centered when everything demanded speed. But over time, I learned that peace isn't a matter of pace. It's a matter of presence. The Stoics never tried to control time. They learned to trust it. 36. 0 hours 7 minutes and 0 seconds. 0:07 to 12,000. Marcus Aurelius wrote his meditations not to command the hours, but to remind himself that nature's rhythm is always perfect. I started testing that truth myself. Every time I missed an opportunity, every time life delayed something I thought I needed, I reminded myself that maybe the timing wasn't wrong, it was right in a way I couldn't yet see. Slowly, I began to see that the oak tree doesn't rush to become an oak. The river doesn't question its bends. Life unfolds at the exact speed it should. When I surrendered my obsession with the timeline and started honoring the timing, I found something precious: peace in the middle of progress. But peace alone isn't enough. The Stoics taught that every setback is a doorway. For years, I saw failure as evidence that life was against me. Now I see it as proof that life is shaping me. The Romans had a phrase, amor fati, love your fate. Not tolerate it. Love it. To love fate means to welcome what comes, not because it's pleasant, but because it's purposeful. I remember the first time I truly practiced it, when I lost a project I had poured my heart into. At first, I resisted. But with time, I realized that loss cleared space for something greater. Every rejection redirected me toward something better aligned with who I was becoming. You don't always get to choose your circumstances, but you always get to choose your interpretation. The Stoics didn't teach blind optimism. They taught active reframing. It's the difference between despair and discovery, between why me and what now. Control was my greatest addiction. I believed that if I planned hard enough, if I managed every variable, I could bend reality to my will. But control is a mirage. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." He was right. Most of our pain comes from trying to steer the uncontrollable. The weather changes, people disappoint, plans collapse. Yet beneath it all lies a still point, the self. You control your choices, your effort, your attitude, your response. That's all. The rest belongs to the wind. When I began living that truth, I didn't lose control, I gained freedom. I learned to act with intention and release attachment. To plant the seed, tend the soil, and trust that the season will come. That surrender is not defeat. It's alignment. And when life felt uncertain, I learned that certainty isn't given, it's created. The Stoics didn't wait for clarity. They acted their way into it. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." I used to wait until I felt ready, but readiness never came. Confidence didn't appear before action, it followed it. Like a child learning to walk, I stumbled forward, trusting that movement itself would reveal the path. Acting with certainty doesn't mean pretending to know the outcome. It means moving with conviction, even when the road ahead is dark. Because the bridge doesn't appear before you step, it appears as you step. And that step, that decision to move despite the unknown, changes everything. Over time, I discovered something even deeper, the art of finding gifts in the very moments that once broke me. Marcus Aurelius said, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive." That's not poetic, it's survival. Gratitude transforms perception. The heartbreak that shattered me gave me compassion. The failure that humiliated me stripped away my ego. The loss that emptied me made space for wisdom. The gift is always there, but you must look through the pain to see it. I began ending each day by asking myself one question: what was the gift in today? Some days the answer was tiny, a smile, a moment of stillness, a lesson in patience. But over time, that practice rewired my mind from scarcity to abundance. Then I learned the most vital discipline of all: to respond, not react. There's a space between what happens and what we do. In that space lies freedom. Viktor Frankl wrote about it from the depths of a concentration camp, proving that even when everything is taken, one thing remains: our power to choose our response. I started training myself to pause before reacting, to breathe before speaking, to feel without surrendering to impulse. When anger rose, I asked, what would my higher self do here? When fear whispered, I asked, what would wisdom say? Each pause was a victory. Each conscious response was an act of mastery. And finally, I understood that philosophy means nothing until it's embodied. Belief without action is just theory. The Stoics didn't preach, they practiced. They didn't perform virtue, they lived it. Marcus ruled an empire, yet kept humility. Seneca taught wealth and lived simplicity. Epictetus, once a slave, embodied inner freedom so fully that even chains couldn't confine him. Their lives were their message. I wanted mine to be the same, to become evidence of what I believe. So I began living as if everything worked out for me, not because I had proof, but because faith required practice. And the more I lived it, the more life seemed to mirror that trust. Now, when I stand at the edge of uncertainty, I no longer wait for guarantees. I act with faith, respond with calm, find the gift, and trust the tide. Because life is not a puzzle to solve, it's a partnership to honor. And the moment you stop fighting it, it starts revealing its wisdom to you. This is not theory, it's practice. Daily, imperfect, transformative practice. The Stoics gave us the map, but walking it, that's up to us.